You still believe it was a genocide,
Yes.
but you're not willing to say he did the genocide?
Yes.
It was a genocide that just happened by itself?
No, there were so many actors involved.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is,
Was he one of them?
well,
Everyone watched Mehdi Hasan corner Getachew Reda, but nobody asked the real question. Why would a man risk his entire reputation to sit beside the leader he once called a genocidal tyrant?
You said Abiy Ahmed, and I'm quoting you, perfected genocide into an art form. Do you stand by those genocide accusations, or have you walked them back?
Way good, Fan. Welcome to Semonegna Spotlight, your front row seat to the Horn of Africa's most electrifying political theater. The recent face-off between veteran firebrand journalist Mehdi Hasan and Ethiopian political heavyweight Getachew Reda on Al Jazeera's Head-to-Head was not a critical investigation, it was political blood sport. The world watched as the host, acting as chief prosecutor, hounded the man who once called Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed a genocidal tyrant, now, astonishingly, his advisor. Hassan's pursuit of moral contradiction was relentless, but in seeking his sensational gotcha moment, he deliberately overlooked the seismic, agonizing truth.
So he led the genocide?
I mean, we don't have to be that specific.
We do!
He led the war.
Getachew's betrayal may be the only card left to play for Ethiopian peace. This was less an interview and more an inquisition, meticulously orchestrated to inflict maximum moral damage. It confirmed that, for Ethiopia, the most savage battleground today is not the trenches of Tigray, but the very narrative itself, where an impossible pact with the devil is necessary for national survival. The dagger's edge, pragmatism over principle. The sensational core of the interview was, of course, the hypocrisy. How could Getachew, the former voice of the armed resistance, justify sitting at the table of the man whose drone strikes allegedly targeted him? The host used this damning contradiction as a moral straitjacket, effectively gagging any meaningful policy discussion. Yet, this supposed betrayal is, in reality, a desperate act of strategic survival and political genius. Getachew's move, the ultimate sacrifice of his political soul, was not a conversion, but a calculated thrust to preserve the peace cemented by the Pretoria Agreement. His justification was chillingly pragmatic. He needed to leverage power from within to prevent the TPLF's old guard from ushering in yet another destructive cycle, and, critically, to command the federal government to Amhara militias from disputed land, Getachew's word. When Getachew confessed that he had to swallow my pride to engage with officials accused of heinous crimes, it was framed as moral capitulation. But this is the ugly truth of statesmanship in a war-torn region. Peace is not a clean, antiseptic process. It is made with the people who hold the power to kill or to spare. The host's refusal to accept this reality, his demand for moral purity in a context of moral carnage, allowed him to reduce Getachew's immense, difficult choice to a simple, easily condemned character flaw. The tragedy is that the journalistic focus on "why did you join him?" silenced the deeper question: what is the price of keeping the fragile peace from shattering? The inquisitor's bias, stripping agency, selling outrage.
Getachew Reda, thank you for joining me on Head to Head tonight.
My pleasure.
The interview's structure was undeniably hostile, characterized by a style that aggressively sought out contradictions and confrontation, denying Getachew the space for nuanced explanation. The analysis confirms this was not a search for truth, but for a dramatic moral trophy to decorate the show. This prosecutorial bias was clear in the relentless double standard applied, weaponizing guilt for ratings, the host repeatedly hammered Getachew with his own past genocide claims, using them as a perpetual moral dagger. However, the equally significant atrocities committed by the TPLF under Getachew's previous leadership were conveniently ignored. This stark asymmetry in accountability served one purpose: to permanently delegitimize Getachew's voice, branding him as a hypocrite, unfit to participate in the peace he helped negotiate.
If war does break out with Eritrea, should Abiy give his Nobel Peace Prize back?
He could.
Okay.
2. The sensational obsession with the king. Quote, the segment prioritized the theatrical over the tangible. The interviewer's obsession with the outlandish quote about Prime Minister Abiy claiming his mother told him he would be the seventh king was pure sensationalism. This anecdote, easily dismissed as political myth-making, was treated as conclusive proof of Abiy's imperialist obsession. By focusing on this irrelevant ego play, the host successfully diverted attention from the far more complex and urgent matter of the Red Sea access dispute, a geopolitical powder keg Getachew cautiously sought to defuse. By obsessing over Abiy's personal hubris, the host, perhaps unwittingly, played into the hands of external forces and regional actors who wish to keep Ethiopia fractured. They seek to prevent the very internal cooperation that Getachew now embodies, as a united Ethiopian leadership jeopardizes their strategic leverage. Three, the unappreciated daring of cooperation. The underlying fury of the interview was directed at a single, unavoidable truth. Cooperation with a former enemy is now the only lifeline. This mindset, however dramatically satisfying, is a recipe for renewed civil war. Getachew's calculated political survival is a lifeline for the entire region. His pivot is a statement of political maturity that prioritizes national security over ideological purity. The host and the alarmist panel members, who gleefully predicted an imminent war with Eritrea, failed to grasp the magnitude of Getachew's gamble. They preferred the loud, easy narrative of war is coming to the silent, difficult work of how do we prevent it. Getachew's current role is the embodiment of the Pretoria Agreement's strained, fragile hope. His sacrifice, his willingness to endure the label of a moral casualty, is a direct defense against external powers eager to exploit Ethiopia's internal divisions. The interview, unfortunately, did not examine how Getachew will use his power to deliver justice. It only focused on his unworthiness to seek it. The sensational truth is this: Getachew's fight is no longer against Abiy, but against the powerful, including the hard line his old party, TPLF, often foreign forces, seeking to delegitimize the peace process itself. Conclusion: the narrative is the weapon. Getachew Reda's appearance was a stark confirmation that in modern Ethiopian politics, the media is the ultimate battleground and the narrative is the weapon. The politician who chose the agonizing path of pragmatism over the comforting facade of moral defiance was brutally exposed to the world. The host, by seeking a tidy, sensational story of betrayal, failed to capture the messy, desperate courage required to keep a nation from its next collapse. Reda's political resurrection is not an act of surrender. It is a forced, high-stakes move for survival, the ultimate hope that the thousands who perished did not die in vain. The Getachew Reda interview on Head to Head was undeniably a political spectacle designed to challenge and corner. Yet, kudos to Getachew Reda for subjecting himself to that intense public scrutiny. It takes significant courage. This level of uncensored global accountability is something we virtually never see from other top Ethiopian leaders. His former boss, Debrecen, or the Prime Minister wouldn't dare. Accountability starts with showing up. This has been Semonegna Spotlight.